USC's path to the playoff, next on the Voice of College Football. MarkRogersTV, the Voice of College Football. Best discussion, debate, and analysis. That's our aim. That's our goal. Please subscribe to our USC channel. You will see analysis from myself, plus bloggers, broadcasters, writers. They cover USC on a regular basis right here. Share these videos out on social media. Let people know that we're building a USC base right here, and subscribe right here as well. All right, USC blasts Washington State 38-13. Certainly the Trojans' most complete game of the season on Sunday night at the Coliseum. They led it easily 35-0 quickly. Keaton Slovis was on his game. Amon-Ra St. Brown abused the Washington State secondary with 4 touchdown receptions. We saw the tremendous game-changing ability of Drake London, 5 catches, 92 yards, but you actually had to see him catch the ball, make moves on the defensive backs in the open field to see it. He's an emerging star. One concern, USC only ran for 5 yards. In a game that they led by 5 touchdowns, you would think that they would have been leaning on the running game, and they basically just kind of went 3 and out the entire second half. No worries, they had a huge lead, but they should have worked on the running game. 20 carries for 5 yards in that game. All right, let's get to the playoff path for USC following this demolition of Washington State. A decent football team coming in, at least in this first 2 efforts against Oregon State, winning that initial game and then falling by a couple scores to the Oregon Ducks. All right, what does USC need? Well, the Pac-12 or any Pac-12 team basically has 2 strikes against it entering this college football playoff conversation. Number one is that the Pac-12 has been down legitimately, but that also has brought the perception into 2020. We can't measure the conferences because they don't play each other this year, but the perception is that the Pac-12 is down. But at least USC seems to be emerging or separating itself in a season in which Washington showed us something early. Now that they've lost to Stanford, and Oregon, of course, the prohibitive favorite to start the season, has lost 2 consecutive games. Colorado, of course, that wildcard team, that Cinderella team, will lose a tiebreaker against USC and send the Trojans to the Pac-12 championship game. So this is how USC makes a conversation piece when the College Football Playoff Selection Committee has to make that choice on December 19th. Of course, they need to take care of business. Win the game against UCLA, defeat the Pac-12 North champion. Do it impressively. That certainly would help, because more so than even previous seasons in which the eyeball test was huge, it's now enormous. Because, again, we've got a limited number of games for USC. That's going to be a 6-0 record. Not the 12 or 13 games, the 13 games they would have after a conference championship game in normal years. So less than half the schedule, less than half the data points, and then the lack of non-conference games played between the Power 5. So got to look impressive. All right, if this happens, USC's in the conversation. Number one, the SEC goes to Alabama. They sweep on through. They beat Florida. There's no discussion with Texas A&M or Florida because the Gators lose a second game, tag on a second loss to Texas A&M, either against Ole Miss or Tennessee. So that limits the SEC to the champion Alabama. Same thing in the ACC. Notre Dame sweeps Clemson. Clemson's out. Notre Dame reps the ACC. The Big Ten goes to an undefeated Ohio State team. They win out. So the 3 spots are down. The Big 12 has 2 lost teams involved, with, of course, Oklahoma and Iowa State. So an undefeated USC team should have a significant advantage in the eyes of the committee over a 2-loss Big 12 champion. Cincinnati. Imagine in previous seasons comparing an undefeated Cincinnati and an undefeated USC. It wouldn't happen. But USC is going to be 6-0 and Cincinnati at 10-0 following 2 games against Tulsa, both in the regular season and in the American Conference Championship game. And actually, even though Pac-12, Power 5, American Conference in that group of 5, you could certainly argue pretty easily that Cincinnati has played the more formidable schedule. So USC needs Cincinnati to lose one of these 2 contests against Tulsa. If USC gets that, Bama wins the SEC decidedly. Notre Dame in the ACC, Ohio State in the Big Ten, Cincinnati goes down, Texas A&M goes down. Well, it's a lot that has to happen, but USC can get in the conversation seriously when all that comes together. Leave your comments below on USC, the Pac-12, and the College Football Playoff right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. And please subscribe.